Hi class, welcome back. This video is all about how to write a body paragraph in 5 easy steps. So in case you've been watching this series, which the first video talked about how to write an introduction and thesis with the inverted pyramid style, this is the second video that will teach you how to write body paragraphs for your college composition essay. Now again, this kind of system that we're about to show you can be used with any kind of essay you've been assigned, unless your professor asks you for a specific structure in each body paragraph. Like I said, as with the first video about introduction and thesis, these are easy ways to learn how to write an essay and then of course make it into your own style. In case you didn't watch the first the video, I'll put a link in the description so you can watch the first video, which is on introduction and thesis, and then you can watch this one, which is about body paragraphs. So as always, I have the lovely Louie back here helping me out with the video recording and the lecture. So let's get right into it so you can learn how to write a body paragraph in 5 easy steps. All right. So what are body paragraphs? Hopefully we know this, right? They become between the introduction and the conclusion. They're also the sections of the essay that help support our thesis by presenting and explaining evidence to the reader. So this is where our quotes come in, our extracted sections from an article come in, different quotes from a TED Talk, maybe images, video, depending on kind of essay you're writing. From that, it's also the area where we organize the different body paragraphs that come from the roadmap. So the roadmap, as we noted in the first video, is the thesis. The thesis tells the reader what kinds of body paragraphs are going to happen first, second, third, fourth, whatever it is that you want to present to them. So if you said in your thesis, Professor X presents A and C in their essay to prove blank, you need to, of course, have your first body paragraph be all about A, and then your next one will be about C. Because if it's not, your organization's off and the reader, their expectations aren't being fulfilled. So you want to make sure that the reader doesn't have to struggle. Give them what you told them you'd give them, right? And then, of course, this helps the logical sequence of your essay. It helps the reader understand it and it builds your credibility. What do we need in a body paragraph? Well, here I map out 5 things. Not to say that every professor will agree, but this is one easy way that I've seen used in my classes that's been taught to me as well. These are the main sections that you need in a body paragraph, right? Topic sentence, reason for that topic, evidence to support the topic, an explanation of that evidence, and then finally a closing statement. Now, in case this is all too much to remember just off the top of our heads, here's a really easy way to remember it. We can call that the Preek method, right? So we can use this method to write out our body paragraphs once we've written out our introduction and thesis with the inverted pyramid system. This, again, is one easy way to remember how to write the 5 sections you need. It's not to say that the body paragraph only has 5 sentences, but has 5 sections. Okay, let me show you what that all looks like, right? Particularly, let's go back and think about our first video. The first video talked all about how we were going to rhetorically analyze Dr. Christopher Bell's TED Talk, Bring on the Female Superheroes. In this video, we're going to use that same prompt and video to show you how to write a body paragraph, right? So in case you didn't watch the first video about the introduction, go back, watch that one, come back to this one. And we're going to carry on. This is the same kind of example we're going to use, and we're going to use it for the body paragraphs, right? Okay, so from the first video, our thesis was Dr. Bell uses logos and pathos to persuade his audience to rethink how the lack of female superhero merchandise negatively affects young women. And you can see that I've highlighted in red logos and pathos. I did this because I'm drawing your attention back to the notion that the thesis is the roadmap. Our first stop is going to be all about logos. Our second stop is going to be all about pathos, right? So this means the first body paragraph is going to be about logos. Second one's going to be about pathos. We should follow that organization in our essay so the reader has their expectation fulfilled. They're hoping the first body paragraph is about logos because that's what we're telling them. The second one should be about pathos, right? That's what we got to do as writers. We got to fulfill that expectation. All right, moving on. Explaining Preek. Simply put, it means point, reason, evidence, explanation, and closing. Those 5 words could help you organize the way that you write body paragraphs and help you become a better writer because you will develop your own sense of how to use this method. You don't have to, of course, always follow it per letter. You can expand upon it. Again, it's not just 5 sentences, it's 5 sections. let me get into the particulars. So first thing you got to talk about is the point, or as your professor might call it, a topic sentence, right? Where's your topic sentence? You don't want to just immediately throw evidence at the reader. You got to have a topic sentence. And when I teach this in my classes, I say, okay, think of the topic sentence as the label on the bottle. Whatever's written on the label is exactly what's going to be contained in this bottle. Think of the body paragraph as that bottle. So each body paragraph is a bottle. It has a seal on the top of it, right? And it's got a label that tells the reader, this will be about X. The topic sentence is the label on the bottle. So if the label on the bottle says Coke, when you drink it, it should be Coke, not Pepsi, not Diet Coke, not, Dr. Pepper, or whatever else is out there. Let me show you an example. Okay, if we're trying to prove the thesis, right, we of course have to write a logos-based, all about logos, in the TED Talk, right? Because our thesis is all about that. The first body paragraph is about logos. Here we have a sample point. Dr. Bell persuades the audience by using logos-based arguments that present statistical data about female superhero merchandise. Now, you may think, okay, this is super specific and detailed. Well, it should be, because in that sense, the reader knows exactly what kind of logos-based arguments we're going to be talking about. Here, we know it's going to be about statistical data about female superhero merchandise. If we just wrote, Dr. Bell persuades the audience by using logos, as a reader, I'd say, well, what kind of logos? I have a lot of questions now. If we just note particularly what kind of logos we're going to show, boom, we've landed the reader. They know exactly what we're going to talk about. They don't have any kind of confusion, right? And if you want to see exactly what kind of female representation in DC and Marvel occur, you can look at this link down here if you'd like to. But of course, like I said, this is one great topic sentence because it tells us what's going on, right? It fulfills what's in the roadmap. And then, of course, it tells what kind of data particularly are we talking about. All right. Now, the reason. Why is the point important? Why should we care about that, right? Why are you bringing this all up? Think about it as if you're in a conversation with the reader. You have to give the reader now a reason why that point is important. You also want to know, how does this point support your thesis? Remember, everything that comes after the thesis should support that point. You want to make sure all your sentences have power to them because they're there to support the thesis. Do not just write an empty or fluffy sentence for the sake of it, right? You got to have something that makes sense. It's also, this section is a buffer before you get to the evidence because you want to walk the reader into this discussion slowly. You want to pace it. You don't want to just immediately throw some kind of evidence in their face. So let's see what kind of example. These facts help support the claim that Disney does not manufacture enough female superhero toys. Right. Now, we noted in the topic sentence, we're going to talk about statistical data and note how that fact of these facts help support our notion that Disney is not doing enough to help female fans of superheroes, right? So this is our sample reason. We're trying to tell the reader why this point is important. Moving on. The example. Okay. Now, going back to that notion of the bottle, right? Each body paragraph is a bottle. Well, if the topic sentence is the label on the bottle, the evidence that we come to is what's inside the bottle, right? So if our topic sentence, as I noted, said Coke will be inside of this bottle, well, then the evidence should be about Coke. Now, in this paragraph, right, we talked about we're going to have statistical data about what kind of female superhero merchandise is out there. That's the content. So therefore, we need data that's all about that, statistical data in particular. Again, when you come to an example, it could be a quote from a text, a data set, a specific study, a scholarly analysis, a testimony. It could be an image or a video, depending on what kind of essay you're writing. In this essay, body paragraph, we're going to say specifically, Dr. Bell notes that, quote, in 2016, only 12% of the superhero merchandise created by Disney was female. We fulfilled the reader's expectations by noting, here's our quote about statistical data, 12%. And again, it's about superhero merchandise that was created by Disney, right? We're bringing it all together by giving the reader exactly what we told them we're going to give them. Statistical data, it's about superhero merchandise created by Disney that's female, right? So everything we promised them, we are giving the reader just that, right? So excellent job. We have exactly what the reader wanted. Moving on. This is, as it notes here, the crucial part of the paragraph because we're all very good at choosing evidence, right? Throwing it in there, and then we move on. That's incorrect. We need to explain it to the reader so they know exactly what they need to get from the proof that we're showing them, right? You're trying to prove your case. You got to tell the people out there exactly how to think. Don't let them get confused and misunderstand you. So, for instance, from the last piece of evidence we had, this statistic demonstrates that Disney does not create enough female superhero merchandise for its female fans. Now, if you remember, the piece of evidence was saying that 12% of the merchandise created by Disney is female superheroes, right? And we're explaining that to readers. This shows that Disney's not doing enough to fix this issue. We're trying to explain to the reader, what did that piece of evidence mean to them? And then finally, we have the closing statement, right? The closing statement helps us continue on the explanation and closes with a compelling or persuasive point, right? What we don't want in the closing statement is to close with a quote. Why? Well, if you've been following along, you have to explain that quote. You have to tell the reader what that quote means. What should they think about it? And then, of course, you don't want to present a new idea, right? So, for example, in this body paragraph, we talked about the statistical data showing how much female superhero merchandise is created. We don't want to say, oh, and by the way, Disney created 6 new movies about female characters. That's not helpful. We don't want to present a new idea. We want to keep that in its own container. So this container says we got to talk about merchandise and statistical data. We got to do that kind of action. But again, the closing statement helps us close with a compelling, persuasive point. So for example, the lack of female superhero toys tells girls that they cannot be strong characters like Black Widow or Gamora. As such, young women can ultimately feel as they can only play the role of the helpless princess. Okay, so we're explaining this further on to the reader, driving the point home. What are the social implications of the evidence? Why does the evidence help support our thesis? Well, here we have a longer explanation. You can see that it goes beyond one sentence. So when you use the Preek method, it's not 5 sentences, it's 5 sections. Now, altogether, you can see how the body paragraph rolled out, right? Each different color here goes for each different section. So you have P in red, R in orange, green for the first E, blue for the second E, and then purple for the C, right? And you can see exactly how the Preek method functions to create a sample body paragraph, right? Each sentence builds upon the next. And of course, this helps us follow the roadmap that we created in our thesis. It shows the reader exactly what we presented to them. We said, okay, we're going to talk about statistical data. We have it right in the middle. If we wanted to do another piece of evidence, we'd have to just insert another example, another explanation, and then we get to the closing statement. That's fine. We can, of course, add multiple instances of evidence here, but this is just one simple way to do it in 5 easy steps. All right, so hopefully that was helpful to y'all. If you like that, continue on with the next video, which will be about conclusion and how to finish off the essay. If you didn't watch the introduction one, again, I'll put the link in the description. And from there, you can finish off your essay by watching the conclusion one. So I hope this helps you out, and it gets a lot simpler from that point forward. So go ahead and use the Preek method as you wish and to develop yourself as a writer. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much.